What do you wish was illegal? I don't care what the cost breakdown is. However, if there are necessary minimum fees that will be charged no matter what options you choose, they should be in the upfront price. For example, if a ticket is $20, but the only options to buy it are a $2 home print convenience charge, or $5 delivery charge, then the sticker price should be $22, with no added home print charge, and a $3 delivery fee. Buy a laser printer. Here's my oft-told tale of woe. School got out so my kids no longer had homework to print. A month or so later we needed to print a document. Our Kodak and Jacket printer not only refused to print but said we needed to buy a new, $90, print head because the old one had gummed up, because we'd gone too long without printing. I went to the local office supply store and bought a Brother laser printer. It scans, it copies, it uses Wi-Fi, and most importantly it just works. About twice a year when we need to print something I go and get it out of my garage and bring it into the house, set it on the kitchen counter, plug it in, and print to it. It works great, even remembers my Wi-Fi settings, SSID and password, from the previous time. No muss, no fuss. If I really want to print something in color I'll use Kinko's. Turns out I literally never need to print in color. Edit, such great responses. I don't remember if I researched and picked Brother out specifically or just got lucky by picking it. I'm glad it's not just me though. My kid went through a phase of watching Ryan's World and similar YouTube Kids videos, and it honestly made me sick to my stomach, watching these poor, clueless kids being straight up exploited by their own parents. So glad I've managed to go get him away from that stuff. It's just so sad. And don't get me started on Ryan's mom. I'd rather stick pins in my eyeballs than have to listen to her screechy voice ever again. This and companies that make it impossible for you to cancel whatever subscription you have with them. I agreed to get some free issues of a magazine when making a purchase at Ulta. Apparently after X number of issues sent, they automatically start charging you. I never got the magazine in the first place so I'd forgotten about it, and found out when I got a random charge on my card a year later. I had to Google the charge because the company/description was one I'd never heard of. When I called them to cancel, they would find any reason to hang up on me. You're not in our system. Click your subscription was already cancelled. Click you're in our system but your subscription never started. Click and so on. I finally got it cancelled but it took forever and was incredibly frustrating. My neighbors used to have a little dachshund. They abused and neglected him, he basically lived on the streets. My mother saw him get hit by a car and informed the owner said okay. No vet checkup, no nothing, just okay. He once told my dad that if the dog dies, I'll get another one. The dog disappeared last year and rumor from my other neighbors is that he ripped up a pillow and the owner beat him, he then walked away and never came back. I don't know if that's true, it's just a rumor. He now has a big and dangerous fighting dog who he completely neglects. The dog's tied up in the garden all day, never played with and never walked. Edit, in my area many people have big menacing dogs that they neglect and leave in their garden. Used to hate this, and still do to a point. I flew about twice a week for 4 years for work and a fair number of flights would always be overbooked. They would always offer money and another flight for anyone willing to accept. I ignored these outright for a couple months until I realized that my flight back home didn't depend on me being there that night. So I started taking the offers on my returns. Vouchers, new flights, meals, hotel stays, managed to get good deals. 2 years in a row my wife and I had first-class tickets paid for by the vouchers I got. They still shouldn't be allowed to overbook a flight but take advantage if you can. I remember getting hit with one of those at the Olive Garden before. It was like 10 years ago, myself and like 7 other co-workers went out to eat. Nobody mentioned an 18% gratuity added for parties of 8 or more, nor was it mentioned on the menu or over the phone. Paid up, including the 18%, and left. Got a call later from the manager asking why we didn't leave a tip. I was confused, assuming that that's what the gratuity was. Nah, they couldn't tell me where that money went, but that it would certainly not go to our server. The fucking gall to tack on 18% to a bill without notice and then pester the customer for more money. I went back and caused a stir / demanded a refund on the gratuity, which was about $40. I said thanks and immediately handed it over to the server. The Olive Garden now mentions the gratuity beforehand, lol. The exploitation of stupid people for profit. This, to me, is simply one of the most immoral and widespread things that happen in society. There are simply countless instances of this occurring, and it is always a very intelligent person lying to anybody who will listen to him so that he can make a buck. I see this happen in many forms, from televangelists repeatedly taking money from those who can't afford it, to Dr. Oz selling scams on TV, as a real doctor, to people who think they can trust him. What bugs me most about these is that the people selling the products do not believe in them one bit. They know full well that they are pushing nonsense, but do it because it makes them a lot of money. Some of the things I would include in the exploitation of stupid people for profit are psychics, mediums, and others who profit by pushing pseudoscience. This one bugs me quite a big deal, because these people not only feed lies but do so by pretending to be scientific. They prey on the hopeless and tell them whatever they want and will sell them whatever they want in exchange for their buck. Televangelists and others who abuse people's religious beliefs for gain. People are often very attached to their religion and therefore they are easy prey. People who use religion for profit sell an invisible product to be retrieved in the afterlife, which is particularly sickening because they get absolutely nothing. These people have nearly no money to spare but will spend it all because they are led to believe it will come back to them. Medical frauds. I suppose this includes Dr. Oz and other doctors who use their degree for credibility, but I am talking more of the alternative medicine type folks. They use the fact that actual healthcare professionals have given them unpleasant news or a more painful treatment, and thus use this to provide a pleasant alternative, something that the person wants to hear. What makes this bad is that they are preventing the person from getting alternative care. I am rather fond of the quote by Tim Minchin, "You know what they call alternative medicine that has been proven to work? Medicine." Parents filming their children dancing TikTok trends and uploading it to TikTok or Instagram. And any Instagram account there is focused on the child, no matter if the bio says this profile is managed by the mommy. They are not only putting their kid to the view of many bad people out there, but they are actually doing a whole pen before it, clothes, makeup, do the choreography until it's right for the camera, forcing something cute for more likes, and profiting. It makes me sick when I see a young girl dancing to the same songs and doing the same choreography that adult women dance, and then you check the comments and it's all about other women saying things like, "You go, girl, she's so cute. I want to do the same with mine, she dances better than me." Only women commenting, because guess what? The creepy teen and old men watching it would be in jail if they posted what they were thinking. Raises have to, at minimum, be fully indexed against inflation. If inflation for your respective currency went up by 3%, you get a 3% raise. If you do exceptional, obviously your buying power should go up. The disparity and distribution of wealth is massive, for many reasons, but I feel if we followed this rule, it'd help a ton for the lower classes. It should be fucking illegal to have 5 cents as a goddamn raise and expect life to get financially easier when you need a roughly 17 to 34-cent raise just to keep with inflation. Assuming you're making around $24,000 a year, for example. The cost or living versus wage disparity has these cost of living adjustments to blame, as there's simply not enough. Following this metric wouldn't solve things, but I know I'm repeating myself, but it'd help. Back in the 70s when I was a little kid, it was legal to bring kids into bars in California as long as they weren't sitting at the bar. Then my parents took me on a vacation to Las Vegas. Yeah, great family vacation. They took me into a bar, in Circus, like they always did, and were immediately thrown out. My stepfather mildly protested and said they can do it in California. On the way out, some customer said, "What are you doing bringing a kid into a bar anyway?" Good question. The Vegas vacation was a regular yearly thing. I have memories of me playing Keno during breakfast. When I was 12, 1982, I was bored with the video game arcade at Circus. So my mother showed me how to use the city bus going up and down the Vegas Strip so I could visit arcades in other hotels. I remember seeing hundreds of escort advertisements that people had thrown on the sidewalk, topless bar advertisements on taxis, plenty of drunk people. My parents gave me a $100 bill for food and video games. They'd eat breakfast with me and tell me to be back at the hotel room for dinner. This was obviously before cell phones. They had a rough idea of where I was, so they probably could have found me. I had no idea where they were. Good times. Child models, or whatever you call them. Usually female models are famous because in comparison a lot of boys like to see female models and very less girls like to see male models. Yeah, that's when you realize why child models exist: pedophiles. Misleading ads, especially the ones which say, "Playing this game 10 minutes a day makes your brain sharper." Those are the ones which I hate the most. Child marriage. I know that minimum age for marriage is like 16 in most cases, but let's be honest, even 20-plus-year-olds will find it hard with this kind of responsibility. I think the minimum marriage age should be 18 or 21, the only exception can be pregnant teens. Hunting any wildlife for any reasons except food. I know for a fact some people eat deer meat. Poachers have already destroyed a lot of the wildlife and the majority of lions are in Africa and majority of tigers are in India and rest of them got wiped out. Disturbing activity in movie theaters. Talking, texting, etc. I'm an elitist when it comes to this though, and I completely acknowledge that many people don't notice or care about people talking or making noise. But I grew up in a household where you sit down and shut up for 2 hours. And having worked on set and as a writer for film and television, it's just disrespectful to the teams of people who set aside a significant period of time in their life. The least I can do is sit and watch. Since the advent of smartphones, it has gotten much worse quickly. It's gotten so bad that if there's a movie that I really care about my experience watching, I call off work and go see it during the day or morning on the weekend. Having children when you're wildly unprepared for it? Maybe not in the sense that you can just be tossed in jail the moment you birth a kid you can't handle, but parenting is not a simple task and most of the people I know don't deserve their children. My own parents were monumental fuck ups who could barely afford the houses they lived in, and indeed, they lost those houses constantly due to their laziness, bad financial planning and overall incompetence, and are just horrible people who didn't raise their children with love or care. I genuinely believe they should be locked away for the decades of mental anguish I experienced living with them. Can you sue your parents for being complete and utter cunts? People complain about the foster system, but at least my friend got a family that cared about her. I wound up with 2 self-absorbed assholes who fucked me up for life. I will never be normal, despite my efforts to appear so. Having multiple children when you and your partner aren't financially stable, aren't mentally stable, nor have a place to house the kid. I get one, maybe 2 kids that were accidental when you weren't prepared and are trying to get it together. But, if you haven't worked in years, live entirely off of assistance, have a history of violence or drug abuse or insane manic episodes, and are continuing to pump out children, they should be legally taken from you until you turn it around. In fact, I think it'd be a wise, albeit incredibly expensive and tedious, idea to require a mental stability drug test and financial minimum requirement for people to even be eligible to keep the children they are pregnant with. But then bright-eyed and bushy-tailed young college grads ruin the whole thing on accident. We want to work hard and do our best thinking it's a privilege to have this nice new well-paying job, and being new to the product we're worried we can lose our job at a moment's notice. So we accept the 60, 70, even 80-hour work weeks and dumb-ass business deadlines while crying ourselves to sleep at night. By the time we finally learn work-life balance, we realize that the big company we're working for has sucked the youth right out of you and never had any intention of paying you a fair wage for your effort. Then they pull in another wave of dumb-ass low-skill college students willing to work themselves to death, and the cycle begins anew. I feel like if it's illegal, people will go through illegal and dangerous means of purchasing it, just like drugs. Organized crime, like cartels, would grow to sell alcohol. People with alcohol addictions wouldn't get proper help because it's illegal. Also, I believe people should have the right to choose what they want to do. I don't think the government should have the ability to make those choices for you. Instead, more should be invested in alcohol education. Teaching the dangers of excessive alcohol drinking and drunk driving to kids and teens is much more important. Drinking socially can be really fun, and I don't think everyone should be banned from doing it because others get addicted. Driving 20 to 30 miles per hour under the posted speed limit in a no-passing zone. Imagine being behind someone doing 25 miles per hour in a 55 miles per hour zone. Or someone doing 20 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. Some states have laws against driving under the speed limit in such a way that you impede the flow of traffic. Others seemingly have nothing. I'm fine driving a little slower if it's raining, or snowing, if there's some hazard you're reasonably responding to. Hell, I don't give a rip if you're 5 under. I certainly don't give a shit if I have the capacity to pass you. But you don't need to be out for your Sunday drive on a Monday afternoon on your way to Walmart. There is no good damn reason a 15-minute drive should take me a half an hour, and sometimes longer, just because you're a fucking asshole who can't be conscientious of the lives and responsibilities of those around you. Selling you a shit car. I spent $4,000 on my first car to learn to drive. Was told it only needed the CO2 sensor replaced. I replaced that and my battery went to shit. Replaced the battery and it won't stay on without having it charged again. Now the starter went out. Now I basically wasted $5,000 on a car I cannot even drive. Like, I am pissed because I needed it to get my driver's license. And that $5,000 could have been half my college fund. Instead it was wasted on an expensive driveway ornament. Out of the 3 years I've had it, I've only gotten to drive it 2 days. Almost done paying it off, then going to a different dealership to hopefully get a car that works. Now I am just scared that I'll get another shit one. I only work weekends, so it was hard enough getting that money. TikTok. Oh great, another one who thinks if something's cringe then it should be outlawed. No. I wish the issue was just if it's cringe or not. This app led to a war in the Middle East last month. It ruins our brains, it drains children of younger and younger ages to a mechanism that parents can't follow and the platform can't safeguard. It will give birth to the next Kick a Ginger Day, but with something far worse. It already did. This is what triggered the aforementioned war. It's a hotbed of spreading false information. It makes us lose patience and become more entertainment greedy. It's only a matter of time until a challenge will rise there that will have a clear goal of driving young children to suicide. And notice how all of this was without saying a single word about the geopolitical issues in it and about privacy/cybersecurity issues. Debt settlement companies. I recently began working at a debt collection law firm. So a few things: as soon as people sign up, we are no longer allowed to reach out to the consumer directly. The majority of people don't realize they can get the same deal by themselves without contacting a debt management company. Except if you directly deal with your creditors, you wouldn't have to pay the extra fees to the debt management company. Some of these companies charge to make payments on your behalf, to speak to the creditors or the law of firms. A lot of these companies have the word law in their company name, but they aren't having their lawyers call. They have regular representatives trying to negotiate on your behalf. Also, they won't tell you there's a possibility of you being sued by your creditors, having your wages garnished, or having a lien put on your house. Because they allow the debt to sit until they have gotten enough money out of you to make it worth their while.